the hotel pen with my name on the notepad. The pen was the cheap kind hotels buy by the thousand, bright blue cap, logo printed to pretend luxury isn't a numbers game. It lay across a notepad I didn't own, on our kitchen counter, under the morning light that makes evidence confident. At the top of the pad, the hotel's crest behaved itself. In the space where guests usually scribble prices for snacks, someone had written my name, 4 River, and a room number, 1719. Beneath that, in a hand that practiced stopping, "If you still want the truth, L." I tune pianos, the kind that bars neglect until their middle octaves start auditioning for exit. My days smell like lemon oil and the modesty of felt. Eli, my partner, designs exhibitions for a museum that believes daylight is a verb. We've shared an apartment for 5 years. The good bowls live on the middle shelf. 2 glasses wait by the sink because we built a rule out of water: pour before the sentence that changes a day. He had come home late smelling like cedar and a lobby that sells permission. He kissed my neck like a person reading instructions in a language he used to speak. He undressed in the hall like the bedroom had started taking attendance. He slept on his side as if the bed owed him a boundary. The pen warmed in my hand as if it had duties. The hotel was the Atticus, attached to the convention center where curators sharpen their metaphors. I walked over because elevators are honest about gravity, and I wanted a witness. The doorman looked at my face and then at the pen, and let me become another person headed for a number that wanted company more than it wanted meaning. The hallway to 1719 smelled like carpet and mourning. I knocked because my grandfather taught me that hinges deserve courtesy even when people don't. The chain slid back. Luca opened the door with a shirt unbuttoned 1 step beyond permission, hair in a truce with the hour, the kind of mouth that knows where not to put words. He smelled like cedar and the last minute of a lobby. "You came," he said, not triumph, relief that gravity hadn't failed. "You left your hardware on my counter," I said, holding up the pen. It seemed romantic in a way I don't like. He softened without getting closer. 2 glasses waited on the desk, already sweating. Eli's jacket hung on the back of the chair with a familiarity I wanted to hate. I set my palm on the shoulder seam for the length of a breath, then removed it. Fabric shouldn't be asked to testify. "I invited you because I don't want to be the surprise you learn to perform," Luca said. He stayed near the door like a decent hinge. "He thinks he's meeting me to end something with manners. I wanted you to have the room before the speech." "How long?" I asked, because I'm better at cutting than polishing. 8 months, he said. The number sat down. Rain, elevator, a lobby that sells permission by the yard. I ended it twice. He sent me a photograph of your breakfast and a complaint about a gallery label. I respected the paragraph and hated myself for it. He took a step closer and stopped with an inch between his hand and my wrist. That inch was explicit. Heat begins its arguments in the skin long before it consults ethics. He didn't touch me. He watched my mouth the way men do when truth needs a chaperone and their bodies volunteer. His restraint was indecently kind. The door unlatched. Eli walked in with the face he gives docents, good, precise, and honesty calibrated for strangers. He saw the glasses, the jacket, the inch of air that still had a temperature. He did not look at the bed. Professionals know which surfaces deserve attention first. He closed the door gently. Hinges deserve dignity. "Okay," he said. The word did its job without the help of adjectives. "You could have kept the pen out of our house," I said. "You chose not to." "I chose incompetence," he said. "And then cowardice. I cheated. I told myself it was weather and home is a noun that survives rain. I used your patience as a permit. I called the spark I felt structure. I want to stop hearing me. Luca had drifted toward the window the way decent men do when air needs a job. He lifted his hand toward my neck again and stopped at that inch. Heat remembered how to speak. He lowered his hand like a man returning a borrowed word. "What do you want me to do?" Eli asked. The grammar mattered. "You'll end it," I said. "You'll sleep on the couch we refuse to call a guest anything. Next week you'll tell me what this was twice. Once in your museum voice that pastes narrative over bone, once in small words. I'll decide what my hands can hold without lying to my wrists." "I'll do that," he said, and the room inhaled like a cautious instrument. Luca exhaled. He crossed the short room and came close enough for breath to draw a map on my skin. He put his mouth by my ear without touching me. The heat of it rearranged furniture and left no mess. "Thank you for not making me immoral," he whispered. "We both would have believed you." He left without turning the door into punctuation. Eli and I sat because standing would have turned into posture. The glasses sweated like witnesses with alibis. I set the pen on the notepad and pressed the crest with my thumb until the paper softened and admitted it had been touched on purpose. "I'm not leaving tonight," I said. "We'll walk home without touching. We'll wait at crosswalks because other people's knees and our better natures both deserve seconds. You'll sleep on the couch. Tomorrow you'll end it without complimenting him. Next week you'll bring me small words." He nodded. He didn't cry. I still love him for that. We walked. The city didn't add an opinion. At the corner, a cyclist skimmed too close and Eli reached in reflex. His palm hovered near my hip like a draft he wanted to be responsible for. I didn't lean. A man should be allowed to choose the boring tool that keeps the lock honest. At home, the kettle auditioned and then boiled. He made tea and laid blankets on the couch with curator care. I slept like someone who had disassembled a device and wasn't ready to test it. In the morning, he returned from a lobby that sells permission smelling like nothing, adult cologne. He told me he had ended it. He told me the truth twice. The museum voice made it bearable. The small words made it useful. He said he liked being two men because one of them wasn't tired. He said he mistook spark for structure. He said he can be one person if I let him do the work. I let him. That is the part that never fills a theater. He slept on the couch for 6 nights and relearned the distance between our door and our bed. On the 7th, he came back and remembered my mouth with the lazy precision we taught each other early and almost forgot. Erotic isn't a command. It's compliance after choosing. 2 days later, Luca texted, "Thank you for letting me tell the truth under bad light." I replied, "Try it when nobody's lighting you." He didn't write back, which was the second decent thing he did. Work stayed exact. A conservatory called about a piano with a sulking middle octave. I convinced 2 strings to share the same name again and felt the room decide to forgive itself. A boy brought a bruised guitar to my bench, and I let him turn the truss rod a quarter turn. The neck sighed into straightness, and he looked at me like I had invented consequence. I lettered open on a bakery window and gave the letters more air than the owner expected. He framed it with 2 ferns and later said the day was easier to breathe. A week later, I saw Luca outside the museum. He looked smaller. Maybe my anger had stopped needing him to be tall. He said hello without trying to own my afternoon. He didn't smell like cedar. The space between us behaved itself. We stood under the awning long enough to absolve the weather, then left without auditioning for a moral. Here is the part I won't call noble. I wanted him. I wanted the inch, the heat, the way his restraint taught my skin manners. I wanted to make a mistake that could be narrated neatly on the way home. I didn't. Wanting is a sentence, not a command. Bodies vote. Ethics count. Boredom is underrated if it lets you like yourself at noon. Eli and I adjusted the frame. 2 glasses before 3 sentences. Less reach, better touch. We stopped letting the kettle decide tone. We stand near the exit at openings not because we plan to leave, but because rooms breathe better when a door isn't a dare. Sometimes we sit on benches because patience looks like courage if you aim the light right. If another pen arrives with a notepad that thinks it can guess our next hour, I will bring water. I will sit where the exit is obvious and not call that cowardice. If a hand lifts toward my neck, I will let the inch exist and answer in a tense I can carry past morning. I will keep choosing verbs that keep us possible. End, stay, tell, work, touch, wait. And when I strike middle C and feel 2 strings agree like a room remembering its manners, I will think about the morning in the hotel where we refused a finale and argued for repair instead. And I will call that deliberate air the most difficult thing I know how to make, and the one that still holds when daylight forgets its lines.